A couple of things you can do, I think, to make sure that fear isn't controlling you and making the decisions is be aware of your feelings. When you have negative feelings like frustration or anger, confusion, annoyance, anxiety, anything like that, stop and ask yourself, okay, wait, what am I afraid of here? What's really going on? And those are normally secondary feelings to a primary fear. So you dig down. Why am I feeling this? Why would that make me feel afraid? Why would that make me feel angry? Keep asking questions until you get to that core fear. And actually, it usually is, I found, attached to some sort of a lie, something we've agreed to that isn't even true, that we're operating like it is true. And so then you get the opportunity to identify that, kind of unmask the lie and replace it with truth. And sometimes that all by itself can solve it, because then you now have the truth you can go back to and fall back on anytime that temptation comes back into play to get angry or confused or anxious. So that's one thing. And then another thing is, in that moment, I've watched, I don't know if you've seen the show by Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan. Is that right? Cesar Millan? Yeah, anyway. There's this moment with the dog, and I don't like thinking about people like dogs, but there is something here that's the same. And that is when the dogs get to this point, there's this flash point where they will react just by instinct, by whatever they've been badly trained by their owner. They'll flash and they'll get into a state of like anxiety or anger, and because they're afraid, it is all tied back to fear. And anxiety is a form of fear. The same thing can happen in you, and Cesar, I've watched the way he operates with dogs, and he has that sensitivity to where it is, and he will interact with the dog in a way to like, he'll give that touch or that moment of like, I'm going to disrupt this thing because I can see you're going in a bad direction, right? You can lead yourself in the same way. You can become the Cesar Millan to what's going on inside of you, to the dog within you, if you will. You can check yourself in that moment when you start feeling that thing rising up and you're like about to react. It could be in your marriage, it could be in business. I mean, this is real all the time. But there's that reaction that you can sense is coming out of you. It's going to be an angry word, or it's going to be to run away and hide, or whatever it is. Everybody has their own tendency of what they tend to do in the face of fear. But you can see that thing coming up, and the better you are at identifying it, Cesar Millan's really good at seeing this in dogs. I'm like, I had no idea the dog was anxious, and Cesar's like, oh yeah, that dog's really, really anxious right now. But you got to learn the signs. You need to learn those signs inside of yourself and then disrupt it and go, I am not going to take action right now. I'm going to pause. Let's pause and ensure that the decisions I'm making are mine right now, that they don't belong to fear, but that they're mine. And again, you can go back into that cycle of, okay, what am I afraid of? Why am I feeling angry? Why am I annoyed right now? Why does that make me annoyed? Why does that make me feel, afraid that I'm not valuable? Whatever it is, right? Dig down and find out where that core is coming from and deal with the root. That's you taking full ownership of yourself and leading yourself effectively. That is how you have to respond effectively to fear and ensure that it is not the one making the decisions in your life. Thanks guys for watching this video. I want to invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's keep the conversation going with the community questions on the social media channel of your choice. And finally, for more great content like this, go to originalleadership.com.